This FAQ Monday is sponsored by Storyblocks Audio. Well, hello and welcome to another episode of FAQ Mondays. I'm your host, Fluff, and I'm feeling pretty good. I was sick for a second. And now this morning was the morning where you wake up and you're like, oh, I can breathe out of my nose. Noses are awesome, right? How sick is breathing? Breathing's pretty cool. Also, shout out to these lovely patrons over on my Patreon page for making this episode of FAQ and all episodes of FAQ Mondays possible. I paused for a second because I thought, well, they weren't around like the very first episode, but you know what? They can be grandfathered in. It's totally fine. First question. Have you ever seen Tool live? I have seen Tool once, and it was in October of 1996 at the Seattle Mercer Arena, and the Melvins opened. Just one opening band, and the Melvins literally played like a single chord, like a single drop D chord, dun, dun, while Dale Crover just grooved out on the drums literally for like 40 minutes. It was hilarious, and it was awesome because it's the Melvins back then at the time, because Stoner Witch was out and they didn't really play anything off that album. They literally just one chord, as I remember it anyway. One chord, maybe it was two chords. It was the same thing for a half hour, 45 minutes. It was hilarious. Tool came on. People lost their minds. The Enema record had just come out. Adam Jones was playing, his Marshall, Blueface Diesel, and I'm pretty sure there was the rectifier in the mix for the live setup. You Tool nerds will probably correct me, but I'm really sure I remember seeing a rectifier and going, oh my god, there's a dual rectifier. I was a new gear nerd at the time, but yeah, they were really, really good. Really good. And then my friend Brian, who was with me, subsequently became the world's largest Tool fanatic, and he flies around and sees Tool all over the place and has met them several times, and he's basically on a first name basis with all of them. Like, oh hey, what's going on, Brian? So pretty funny. Yep, 1996 Enema tour. Saw him. Storyblocks Audio is your one-stop shop for royalty-free music. If you are working on a project and are in need of a loop, a sound effect, some Foley, the sound of a chain hitting the floor, or some actual background ambience music, Storyblocks Audio is the place to go. Now again, all the content on Storyblocks Audio is royalty-free, so you are free to use it with your personal project or full-blown commercial project. I myself enjoy having the huge library of random sound effects that I sometimes need for my own videos. It's a really handy tool, a massive database, and you'll even find stuff that you didn't even necessarily know that you were looking for. Everything is there. If you would like to up your audio game, I will link down below in the description, and you can get your own Storyblocks Audio account and just go nuts, because you know what? You deserve it. What is your favorite amp that does everything you need for a gig? I'm gonna answer that on a technicality, and I'll explain why in a moment. But when I think of like all of the amps I have toured with, honestly, the Mesa Boogie JP2C was the one I got the most compliments on as far as the live tone. I thought it sounded best myself and really offered everything I could ever ask for in a gig amp, except a master volume. And that drove me insane. That's literally the only reason why I ever came out of my live rig. Because if we were sound checking and the sound guy needs you to turn up or down on whatever channel you're on, you've balanced all three channels ahead of time. So now if you turn your gain channel down, now your clean's too loud. So now you have to, in a hurry while people are watching, sit there and try to dial in and balance the channel volumes independently. And no master volume it ended up being a make or break for myself. But I would say the JP2C is one of the best amps that Mesa has ever made, by far. It brought everything to the table for me. And that's just me personally. Your mileage may vary. Obviously, your needs are probably different from mine and everybody else's. But, that was a perfect balance of sound quality, the right kind of bells and whistles. and didn't have a master volume. But yeah, that amp was great. What is the worst piece of gear you have ever owned? I've owned some pretty huge duds. You know what? I'm gonna give you two. The first one was when I was a kid. I was a Smashing Pumpkins fanatic, and I went out and I bought my first Big Muff. And at that time, you could go to American Music here in Tacoma, in fact, and you could get a brand new Sovtek Russian Electro-Harmonix Big Muff in the wooden crate for, I believe it was like $75. And I got it and I brought it home and I was horrified. I loved the sound, but it bugged me that the foot switch had a momentary pause. There was a drop. It would cut out when it would switch from the circuit to the clean and vice versa. So you'd be playing and it would be and it was horrible, horribly annoying. Then the jacks broke like 3 weeks after owning it, and it broke. So I took it back to the store. I believe I got a second one. I believe they helped me out because they were cool like that. I want to say I got a second one and it did the same thing. Like, those pedals were garbage. People like to remember them fondly today for the sound, but you never ever hear anyone talk about what great build quality they were, because they were absolute garbage. That's one. The second one was it was like a mid-90s Ibanez RG. I literally owned it for 2 days. It had the worst, it was like one of those really, really bad Floyd Rose copy bridges. I can't even tell you what it was because I didn't know anything at the time, but it wouldn't stay in tune at all. And I knew enough to, like, you know, if you have to stabilize the tremolo, I blocked the tremolo. I froze it from moving at all, and it would not stay in tune. And I don't know if that was the tuners at the time or what. It did not stay in tune. It was the worst guitar, and it had all sorts of dead notes all over the neck. What a horrible, horrible, crappy guitar. And that was the last guitar I owned with a Floyd Rose, I believe. Until the EVH I owned a couple years ago. Anyway, Sovtek, Russian Big Muff, 90s Ibanez RG. Awful, awful pieces of gear. Thoughts on the Motley Crue return? So Motley Crue signed a contract binding them from ever touring or playing shows again back in 2014. And honestly, being a marketing guy, that's all just a PR stunt, right? They knew they were gonna take an extended break. And what better way to do that than make some form of official thing, a news-making thing, because that would ensure that when they came back, it would again be a huge news story, because they said they'd never do that, right? It's a huge marketing, it's a long game marketing push, and it's brilliant. And yeah, I love Motley Crue. I think they should rule the world, and hopefully Vince Neil gets back into shape and can sing the parts. And yeah, I'm excited. I'll probably go see that show if it comes to Seattle. I'll go see Motley Crue and Def Leppard and Poison, dude. Yeah, so down. Huge fan of Nikki Sixx. Huge fan of the band. I mean, who isn't a Def Leppard fan as well? Who doesn't know Pour Some Sugar on Me? But yeah, them coming back, that's a huge PR move, and I back it. It's absolutely brilliantly done. How do you deal with a bad front of house guy? You know, I don't know that you can. I think, you know, that was the main reason for Rest Repose and then Dragged Under having an in-ear system. We took the power away from the front of house guy, an incapable one, of deciding how we hear ourselves. Now, you know, controlling how the audience hears you is not up to you, and it never will be until you hire your own guy. But if you're dealing with in-house front of house guys, you know, the best you can do is play the best that you can. And you can do that by ensuring that you can hear yourself with an in-ear system. So generally speaking, the in-ear system has completely eliminated us playing badly. And if we do, any of us play badly, it's our own fault. It's not because we can't hear ourselves, because that excuse is now gone. But you know, bad front of house guys are just a reality of a gigging musician, and it's been that way since the dawn of time, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. You just have to learn to roll with the punches and play your instrument the best you can. And now, Fluff reads a tweet. The best part of the day is when I get to drink coffee. That's true.
Suggestion.
My suggestion to you this week is to come on over to my Twitch channel. Dad joined Twitch and he's been playing some Call of Duty and it's getting pretty good. It's a lot of fun. I'll be doing some guitar stuff as well. But yeah, you know, this is my excuse to do a little gaming, a little guitar nerdery. Maybe while I'm shooting, I'll set up a Twitch stream in the future, etc., etc. If you have any suggestions for anything Twitch related, definitely leave a comment down below in the comments. And yeah, let's it's a good old hang. Let's have some fun. All the Pokemon links down below in the description. You've been wonderful. I've been Fluff. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Wow. Another video gone by. Hope it was pretty good. I mean, it's probably pretty good. But if it wasn't, awkward, right?